What's going on, people? You get me? It's the SMG Podcast. You done all the thing, you know what I'm saying? We have got another interview for you guys today. We're going to be speaking to a young gentleman by the name of Joshua, um, an award-winning, I believe, gentleman who could potentially be the first. I don't want to say black, but dark brown,
Babe.
like not Asian, like Africanish, Caribbeanish prime minister. You know what I'm saying? Over yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? If that's the correct use of the term. But yeah. So what's going on?
Yeah, it was
Josh?
correct, bro.
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good, I'm good. Depending if Kemi Bay don't beat me, but I'll be one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Saying that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have you up in the building. You know what I'm saying?
Great to be here.
You know, I'm happy to see you dressed up for the occasion. You're making me feel like I dress super down for the occasion. I feel like I'm one of the youths that you're trying to help out. Right now.
I don't kill me.
I'm joking. So boom, we're gonna get into it. I know IO, you got some questions. But before we do, here's a message from our sponsors. And I'm joking. But shout out to GPen though. Greco Science, 15% off. SMG15, go to gpen.com, you know what I'm saying, 15% off. Yeah, done all the thing, you know what I'm saying. And shout out to, you know what I'm saying, Io's homie who made them t-shirts or that t-shirt.
Creative Arts Era.
Still need to get my t-shirt, but yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, if there's anyone else I remember during the show, but yes, my bro, I'm so sorry. So how you doing, man?
Blessed, I'm good. Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. Grateful, and thanks for the feature.
Can I just say salute to you though, cause like when I saw you that you actually petitioned you to keep Oyster cars free, you actually that was actually big justice, you know. Like, bro, you know you got bro. Oyster card, you know when I saw it, I think man, what at 14, man, says man actually went and petitioned, and because I know with how the government works here. They very well would have probably removed it. Like, and I said, you doing that actually threw a spanner in that. So I gotta give you props for that, because that actually probably helped out a lot of people without even realizing it. I don't know, like
my son's got a free Oyster card, man.
Yeah, free Oyster card used to do, man. Yo, like, can you imagine do you know, as an adult, do you know how much it cost the travel? Like,
No, it's expensive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've just started. It's expensive.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
but no, just got to give a good props to you.
Thank you.
Definitely, 100%. So yes, I forgot, but yeah, I've got some questions.
So what is it that you do? Are you a speaker? Are you an advocate? What is it that you? What's your niche?
Well, my niche is quite broad, but I don't describe myself jack of all trades, master of none.
Okay.
I do a lot of things. So I'm an advocate for young people, but especially young black people who are excluded from school and who are marginalized within education because of my own experiences. I'm a school governor, so I sit down on a school board supporting head teachers, the trust in how young people's voices are represented within big decisions and within big financial decisions. I'm a youth worker. That's like the day job. And I'm studying youth work also to enhance my craft I've got the practical, but I want to have the theoretical knowledge to make sure that each young person I'm supporting and really and truly serving, I want to make sure that they get the best out of me and the knowledge that I can give them to help them go forward. And yeah, that's me really in a nutshell professionally. Supporting young people, helping them. I do speak, and I do go into spaces and give my story and speak. And what it is for me is, if I could just help one person, I know that they'll help, because someone's helped me for me to reach where I am. I've paid it forward, so I know that the work that I'm doing, yes, I want to reach the masses, but if I just reach one person, I've done my bit. So that's what it is for me. So I just try to help young people any way I can. If that's helping them get into apprenticeships, help them to get into a job, internships, providing them opportunities so they don't have to sit clueless like I did, sitting behind my desk or laying down and thinking, what am I gonna do next? They've got that support, they've got that network. So that's me basically, just a big supporter, big brother in the community, trying to help young people so they be the great people that they're destined to be. So that's what it is.
We need more people like you.
We need more people like you.
So what made you want to get into that?
Well, I've always been involved in community things and I've always had a love for my community. And when I was about 10 years old, I remember someone saying to me, the struggle was here before you, it's here now, and it's going to be here when you, it's going to be here when you go. What are you going to do in your little piece of the world to make sure that it's just a little bit easier? So, really and truly, I went to 5 different secondary schools.
Oh.
I was excluded from school. I was managed move. I was permanently excluded. Anything that you can think of bad in education happened to me. At the age of 14, a teacher tried to report me to South London and Wolseley to say that I was living in a fantasy world and I was crazy.
Wow. I said living in a what? I'm sorry. What did you do that they thought you were living in a fantasy world?
Well, what I think it is, right, is that you see, like with a lot of our young people right now, which is no fault of their own, when young people are in conflict with teachers,
Mm.
they lead with their emotions.
Mm.
I lead with my mind. And because of that, I held the school accountable legally for things that they were doing wrong to me. And maybe at the time now, growing up, working, maybe that wasn't my place as I was young and that should have been my mum. But you know, like what it is that, you know, you got Caribbean parents, you know, your Caribbean mum, she's leading on what's morally right. And sometimes what's morally right, unfortunately, is not in the legal system. So, for example, in school, they tried to exclude me after 11 o'clock, which you're not allowed to do. You can't exclude a child after 11 o'clock.
Excuse me?
You're not allowed to exclude a child after 11 o'clock.
Say so.
Yeah, that is
I feel like
guidance.
everyone got excluded after 11 o'clock in my school.
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened.
So when are they meant to do it before or
They're supposed to do it before 11, or what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to do it the next day.
okay?
So they tried to
wickedness.
do that to me a lot. So because I read Ofsted guidance, I was like, I was a geek, like still am, but
You read Ofsted
did
guidance.
read Ofsted guidance, read reports. So like when the school were doing things, I used to quote them with the very Ofsted report that the school said. So I said, yeah, this is why you're failing because you're doing this to me, and Ofsted have seen it. So they didn't like it.
You see, me and you, yeah, think you to say. You see what you're saying right there, because that is something I would be doing. I'd do in school, and that's the type of stuff where I used to get into problems. I used to get into loads of problems because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm gonna look at your guidance, your guidelines, yeah, and see how you're not following them.
Yeah. And that's what I did. So basically, I held them accountable with their own school policies. And when I didn't get my way, in a sense of that, I knew that justice wasn't served for me. I'd write to the governors. I'd go to the council. I'd write to the mayor. I'd write to the MP, and I'd let the MP know what's going on. And really and truly, now I'm different. But before I just go on Twitter and I'll at the school and I'll say this is what's going
I
on.
said, we live in a different age, boy. Man said, I'll go on Twitter.
I'll at them and I'll let them know. So with that, I was doing everything right, but I wasn't covering myself in a sense of that I wasn't protecting myself from being kicked out of school. So when I got kicked out, it was like a blow. Like, and I spent like a year out of school, and fighting with the council. They wanted to send me to a Peru in Lewisham, which is like renowned. And and it was at the time it was very very bad, like stabbings, things like that. Like it was really bad. So my mum said that she's not sending her picnic in there, and I said I'm not going. So I had a 1 year battle with the local authority to send me to a different Peru, which I won. But going through that and getting kicked out of school again and getting kicked out, yes, the teachers were a problem, but there was something I was doing. Why it kept continuously happening? So at the time when I was excluded, I was doing like a lot of reflection, and it was a reflection process of, Josh, what are you doing? Like, there's something you're doing, because you see, with me, I'll tell them about themselves in their patwa. When my mum comes, I'm the most outstanding English person there is.
Yeah.
And my mum will be defending me. So I said, you know what? I've got to take responsibility. So that's why I do the advocacy. And that's why I do it because of my experiences. Because young people will get it wrong. But unfortunately, our educators, our teachers are not there to nurture.
Yeah. Facts.
There's
Yeah.
no nurture.
100%.
So when there's no nurture, you know,
More likely to grow obscured. You get it?
exactly.
Like,
And then, you know, sometimes no fault of the parents. Mum's got 2, 3 jobs, trying to hold down. You know, dad's not around. Dad wasn't around in my case. So a lot of the time, your mum, you know, your mum is mum, dad, sister, brother, grandma, everything in one. So like a lot of the times, the burdens you was facing, you'd go to school, you would let it out. But then it was like with what was going on at home in the sense of that, you know, you never had those siblings to kind of turn to show you like, this is what I did to buckle down. Or, you know, bro, let me teach you how to do this. Or everything was just self-taught.
Mm.
So I think that was the biggest thing. So that's why I help young people. And that's why I got my website out. That's why I've got like things out, materials out for parents to contact me. And this is all free of charge. And this is in my own free time because I can't exploit my community. Yeah. So I do it free of charge to help young people to make sure that if you're gonna F a blind in school, that's your prerogative. You've got the right to do what you're gonna do. But is this the outcome you want? Because this was my outcome, and it's because of the faith of the Most High and me believing in myself. I never regressed. So that's what it was. That's what it is for me. So that's why I do it, to make sure that nobody has to go through the ordeals that I went through. You know, things like, you know, your mum's looking at you saying that, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And you feel like you're a failure, like you've let your mum down. And like, you know, especially like in a Caribbean household, you listen to like Chronic Law, Cranium talking about taking your mum out of the situation they're in and building her up and putting her, you know, your mum's your idol. So being a disappointment and giving my mum that stress and that problem, I said, no, that can't happen to no other young person.
So okay. So we've touched on a few things, right? I wanna break what everything you said down now, because you've almost tried to cover every note I had in a quick summary, but
Yeah.
we'll break it down. So let's start at the beginning. So talk to us about your upbringing, your family. You know, do you have siblings? You know, how did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Brixton. Born in St Thomas's Hospital. Was in the Brixton area. My mum moved me out when I was very young, so I don't remember actually being in that area. So I've known Lewisham, grown up in Lewisham. Um, I've got siblings. I met my siblings on my dad's side. How I describe it is I've got 2 brothers on my mum's side and a bag of siblings on the next side, which I met a couple years ago with doing my own investigative journey on trying to find out who I am, my identity, things like that, in a sense of where do I come from. So grew up in Lewisham, single mum. My upbringing was very, very good. You know, had my first iPhone when I was like a year nine. My mum grew me up on books. My mum grew me up on Marcus Garvey. My mum grew me up on, um, you know, the ideologies of being a strong black person, being divine in your own right. So whereas my other peers, they had video games. Like the first time I played GTA, I'm sure like I was in my 3rd year of secondary school. So like a lot of the things that my peers were doing earlier, I done it much later. Like where I had a TV in my own room, I had to buy it myself because I started working, I started doing my own things. My mom said, "I'm not going to give you something to spoil your brain. You know, I want you to learn. I want you to have that knowledge." So when I went into reception, I could already read, I could already write, I could already spell. Whereas my other colleagues, my classmates, they were very backward. So I was very, very whole. I knew what I wanted from a very young age. And I was having a conversation with my mum the other day, and my mum reminded me, she said that when I was in primary school, when I was in reception, this teacher called her and said, um, I want to live in a big white house like Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And the teacher laughed at me, saying that that would never happen. So I grew up in Lewisham, so you know what that is. The demographic is black, African, Caribbean, you know, your mum either works for the council, your mum's a nurse, or there's certain things there's certain connotations that were just put onto us. So me saying that I wanted to live in a big white house like Will Smith, because Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was my favorite show back in the day. Me saying that I was overstepping my boundary. So I've always been told no from school and things like that, but at home I was always been told yes. Like growing up, not growing up without a dad, I didn't think it didn't matter at the time because my mum was everything I needed. But growing up, I started to feel the void, and that's something that my mum couldn't really feel. So, that's what it is from the beginning stages of things. Like single mum, like all of my family were in Jamaica. So growing up, I've grown around like cousins and things like that. So that kind of big knit family, that big type of, you got your auntie down the road, you got your grandma down the road. That wasn't it for me. Like I built a relationship with my grandparents over the phone. Before WhatsApp, Messenger, everything came out, Facebook. I used to, them little scratch cards that you could call back, like call the Caribbean. That's what we used to use and call home. And really and truly, my mum raised me on her memories of her parents and her memories of her families and things like that before I met them. So I basically was clued up and knew certain things that my other cousins back home didn't know because I was grown and fed on the memories and of the love that my mum shared with both of her parents. So like my mum said that, she's grown with both of her parents. She don't know about single parent lifestyle because she's been in that tight knit, lovely, loving family. So yeah, it was growing up was hard. I would say good upbringing, lovely mum, and which a lot of young people don't have. But I would think there was a lot of voids in my life which couldn't be helped. That's how I would describe it. But now I feel them.
What was the moment that kind of took you and kind of led you down the route? Because you said that you're training or intending to train for law,
Yeah.
and then eventually politics. So what took you? I mean, did that have a lot to do with the upbringing, just in terms of you being more academic growing up rather than just kind of spending your time looking at a screen?
I think what it is that I noticed around me that you could be the smartest person and you could have all the knowledge, but if you don't have the educational qualifications behind you, they're not going to take you seriously. And unfortunately, we don't have the same access to opportunities. So, whereas Jim down the road's dad is friends with Tom's dad, who's the CEO of this, or who's the executive director or the managing director, and he can put a good word in for you, those relationships are kind of given to you, and really and truly, they don't have no sense. But you have to build that yourself. So that law and politics for me was understanding what the system and what society view of me. I know what I view of myself. I know who I am, but what do they see me as? And I want to create change, but I can't just create change talking to my mum and reasoning with my mum. That's just a conversation that I hear, she hears, and the Most High hears. How do I reflect those knowledge and those conversations into change and into reality? So that's what it is for me. And where I saw um where that kind of filled in to me, I had a friend who grew up in foster care and then she was adopted by this couple. And I remember like when he came, he's passed away now, God rest his soul, he passed away. But when he came to pick up my friend, when he's the love and they weren't like he adopted her, the love that they shared, and he lifted her up and he put her on her shoulders. He put her on his shoulders. I walked with her and I turned to my mum and I said, "Mum, can you do that to me?" And my mum said, "Look how big you are. Look how small I am. You think I can pick you up?" Like my mum was just saying it to me, but then that moment, the penny dropped for me, and I said, "Wow, I've got that love." Not saying that my home wasn't loving, but that specific love that I wanted, it wasn't there. My mum couldn't offer that to me because my mum doesn't know how to offer that. My mum's a woman. She's not a man. On how just I can just imagining it even now, thinking about when you're so small, your dad like lifted you up like you think you can see the whole world, and like that type of thing. So I said that I want to make a change where all absent fathers, something has to happen in a sense of that I didn't know what it was, what had to happen to make sure that, something had to happen. So that's where it was for me on making change. And, unfortunately, things can happen. Absent fathers can be a thing where he could be passed away or he could be working away or, you know, anything. But how do young people still get the same love and the same treatment and the same exposure to opportunities and things like that? How do they have that? How do they get that without having mum and dad
Mm.
in that in the home? So that's what it was for me, the beginning of things.
How important was it for you? Rather, how important do you think it is for the younger generations now to experience that direct love in the home, and how much do you think it affects the way they relate to teachers or authority outside of the home?
I think it's absolutely crucial because I used to like especially South London, the teacher demographic on male and female is not level. So what you see is like, I don't know, back in the days for you guys, we had more female teachers. So growing up, I was around females all the time. Like my aunties, they had their husbands and things like that, who I see as my uncles, but I was around more feminine energy. So like when a male teacher used to talk down to me, it used to really upset me. Like I used to get mad. And I actually got kicked out of sixth form because a Jamaican teacher spoke to me harshly, and I went to a girls' school. It was a girls' school in the secondary school.
Wait, I'm sorry. You went to a girls' school?
Yeah, it was a girls' school in the secondary, but it was a mixed sixth form.
Okay, because you
So,
bugged me
yeah.
out for a second. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
the
I got what
fuck?
you said.
Yeah.
Still.
I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm not supposed to swear. Damn it.
But so with that, like I was the only boy in that class. So when he spoke to me harshly, I felt shame. So I said to him, "Sir," and he spoke to me in patois. So I said to him, "Sir, you can't speak to me like that. I would appreciate if you speak to me in a more like take the bass out your voice." And I said it to him just like that. And the whole class was like, "Oh," I said, "Sir, take the bass out your voice and talk to me outside. Like I don't take the bass out your voice because you're not no bass unless you speaker to be speaking to me with such bass." So he felt so, and he was the head of sixth form and the vice principal as well. So he felt so bad. So I left the school. But
Wow.
I think it's so important for young people to have that male authority, male love in the house,
Yes.
so that when they go out and an elder says to them, "Mute," or "What you doing?" or it's normal.
Mm.
And that's why sometimes I think male teachers have it so hard for two reasons. Because there's not a big group of male teachers, but also the male teachers are recovering from the trauma that we're going through. So like most teachers that I know that are male teachers, they've been kicked out of school, they've been excluded, they've gone through that. But they haven't yet discovered themselves. They've gone into a role where they're just doing a job and they're getting paid every month. But some of them, not all, but some of them haven't discovered themselves and really healed from what happened to them. So they're working in a place of trauma. They're working in a place of what's the word? They're working in a place of burnout. So when you speak to me harshly, sometimes it actually is harsh. But because we haven't grown around that and we don't understand that, when we're not around that energy more time, I think it does contribute to some of the problems we're having. Head of years, they were female. Like being a head of year now, it doesn't matter. But back in the day, or when I was going to school, head of year, they were all women.
Mm.
They were all women.
I mean, I had that, bro. I think it was 50-50 back in my day, but yeah.
We had like a lot of women teachers, like science teacher, women, maths teacher, women, like and then we had a male head teacher, but he wasn't around. Like he was there, but he wasn't there. Type of thing. So I feel like having that male figure in the household, it does wonders. Teaches you respect. It teaches you, I think, also a big thing. It teaches you how to fight with your fists rather than the knife, rather than the weapon, because when your dad's gonna square up to you, you're gonna go rah. Like it's not having that in the home. Sometimes it can be good. Sometimes young people don't need to have that male influence, but I think it's
Oh,
sometimes
they need that,
crucial.
man.
It's crucial.
It's crucial.
I think it's
Very
crucial.
crucial.
'Cause it
Oh,
de-
100%.
you see where it comes. It teaches. You see the male influence in the home. It teaches both female and like male how to deal with like opposition and conflict.
Yeah.
Because your dad, even though your mum can tell you don't be strict, the dad is always seen as the authority. It's imprinted.
Yeah,
It's in our biology.
Yeah.
Yeah, your dad is seen as the so
Imprinted.
that's not that not being there. Like I said, often enough, the stats prove it. It shows, bro. Like males not being in the house equate for a lot of the reason why a lot of them are in jail, doing whatever and whatever. Like you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
facts are there, so it's very important. Very.
But there's something very, very like important that you said like 10 minutes ago, which I ain't really heard this perspective before. You said that like because sometimes when we argue that men should be in the household as we're doing, it's for the reasons that we're saying, and it's for the typical reasons that it will teach the young men and women a certain level of discipline. It will give them a sense of security, a sense of strength, self-worth, confidence, and all of these good things. But one thing that you said that this already, and me even as a parent, I know this, but it's not something I think to relate to the way that they deal with the rest of the world, is the discipline, the way they're spoken to, is because I know that like the way I discipline my kids is like they're not gonna go to school and react completely off the rails when a male teacher tells them off in class, because like obviously they're gonna know if it's over the top or not, you know what I'm saying? But because they're used to dad's discipline, it's like, all right, cool, it's just discipline. It's not a voice that I'm not used to. But
yeah.
as you said, in comparison to somebody that don't have no male influence in their life at all, and then you've got this bassy, authoritative voice telling you what to do, and we know that most kids that have to go to, what do you call it, PRU,
Yeah.
which is unit for people that are
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
older, much older, but you know what I'm saying? Like they don't have that, you know what I'm saying? So when they hear that shit, it's just what they say now, trigger. You know what I'm saying? But I think that was a really, really important point that
Yeah.
you brought up, man.
Because with what you said as well, it doesn't even like the authority of it. And I think this is my last point with the dads is that the authority on it is just like that's just the icing on the cake. You don't see a male figure treating your mom with respect. So how do you know to treat a female with respect?
That's real shit.
Like I've worked in schools, and I've heard the young black boys, unfortunately, she's a bad, she's a this. Excuse me, you treat her with respect, because at the end of the day, you want someone to call your own mum that. And I think they never, because obviously they're in the hype of it, they're with their friends, they're laughing, they don't think about it on the broad picture. A lot of them have got siblings, a lot of them have got little sisters. You want someone to say that about your sibling, because I'm sure if they did, you'll be fighting them. So learning that common, just that respect on how to respect a woman, and knowing that without the woman, you can't be here. You can't survive. Like, even just coming down to it, like, say, for example, when I go to work and I'm rushing and I've tied my tie, tied it good, it's a bit wonky. Who's going to come and fix it? Because next man's not going to come up. And somebody, but it's going to be a mum. Is he going to be mum saying, let me check. Let me check if your shoe's clean. Let me check your fingernail. Or, those things, that is a motherly role. And, when, it's that respect of it, and how they treat their female colleagues. Sometimes it's so terrible, but they can't be blamed because they don't see no one treating their close family members with that type of respect. Or like, they don't see my mum celebrating her 20th wedding anniversary. Most of us are born and the parents already broken up. They don't see that, they don't know it. So how can they live a life, and how can they practice in a life that they don't know about? It's not their fault. They've never seen it. They've only heard about it. But sometimes seeing is believing. You can't just hear and just believe. Even with the politics, they want to see the Prime Minister make change. They want to see the MPs deliver in the community. And that's when they will start supporting. That's why the Conservatives lost. Because they weren't doing what the people wanted them to do, and the people didn't believe in them. You have to see. You have to see, and they're not seeing it, and this is the problem that we're having because they're not seeing what should be the reality or what was that, which our grandparents were doing and our great grandparents were doing. Like the grandparents were doing it, and then when it reached our parents, it's been lost. And then now with my generation, it's bare baby mama, bare baby father, passa, and bare things on TikTok, and bare people doing this. Like it's just wild. But you can't blame them. You can't blame them.
I mean, yeah, that's a big fix.
Big.
But so you're quite ambitious by the sounds of it. You're quite young.
Yeah.
Also. You have an aspiration to be prime minister one day.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself overcoming the main barrier that I see with politicians, which is, and this is speaking for the ones that are genuine, which there are not many, if any. So I might be just being gassed. But they'll come in, like the what's it called? The crooked politicians will come in, yo, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? You know, change this, change that, lower this. We might have to raise this, but it's cool, guys. You know what I'm saying? Go with it. The genuine politicians will come in with a bit of that spiel, but they'll be mad honest with you, like on bare stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be realistic with you, right? And then you might vote for the realistic guy, but when he comes into power, he realizes that like it's not just me that has to make all these decisions, really.
Yeah.
So how do you see yourself overcoming that? Say you come to the prime ministry of the England, I don't know. Prime Minister of England.
Well, I think my values, so of honesty, integrity, but I think what it is, I think there's two things that when you ask that question that came to my mind. Firstly, when Marcus Garvey said, anything you want to hide from people, put it in books. People don't read. And then secondly, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. I think there's a big thing about education. There's a big thing. Before you even look at the politicians, do you understand the politics, the political realm you're living in? Do you understand local government? Do you understand the local authority? Do you understand the responsibility of do you understand the responsibilities of the people that you're trying to hold accountable? Like like for example, you're all right for the TFL. That's a great example. Like the roads, the roads they're manic right now. You can't get buses. The roads and the TFL, before TFL can make any changes, they have to go to the council for the council to agree it first before TFL can make any changes to bus routes, to roads, to bus stops, anything, any problems you have, you go to TFL, they go right back to the council. They go back to the people. So I think there's a big thing about with the people you're holding accountable, are you actually holding the right people to account? You've got councillors, which some are cabinet members. Councillors are not paid by the council. They're basically volunteers. If you're a cabinet member, you get paid. So when you're a councillor, most time you have a 9 to 5 job. How can I be dedicated to my community when I've got a 9 to 5? These things are there, they're written down, they're there, they're easily accessible. But what it starts with is educating the people to let the people know this is what I'm responsible for, this is what I'm doing. When you go to your constituency office to talk to your MP and tell your MP your problems, and your MP says, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. The MP is going back to the same person you are having problems with. Because there's a hierarchy, there's a system that they follow. So that's the first thing about education. I think secondly, I'll just be honest. This is what I can do. I can hold local schools to account. The government can't hold like academies. You got Harris, Oasis. Local councils can't actually hold them to account because they are businesses.
Right. Okay.
They're businesses. They're they get their instruction from the government. So you've got a problem, you're going to the council. The council will take your problem. They'll feed back to the school. The school actually don't have to do anything because the schools are not owned by the councils anymore. There's no the jurisdiction has now been taken out of council's hands. So things like that, I would share and tell people what I can actually do. Thirdly, accessibility.
Mm.
As a politician, as a teacher, as a local politician, you are someone of service. And this is what politicians fail to understand. You are here to serve the community. You're here to serve the country, serve the people, everyone who's living in the country. You're here to serve them. But that is not really relayed. They're there as the superior people, higher echelons of society. But your tax pays them. If everybody say I'm stop paying tax tomorrow, I don't know what they're going to do because they don't have no salary. So my thing is about being accessible, being open and honest, saying, listen, this is what's going on. This is what's going to happen. You can vote for me or you don't want to vote for me. That's fine, but this is what I can do. So I think there needs to be that accessibility. Like, for example, on a Friday, you can actually go to Parliament and demand to meet your MP on a Friday. Every Friday, Parliament, and they ring them, and your parliamentary MP has to come and see you unless they're in a meeting or they're busy. How many people know that? So you're emailing, and the mailbox is full, or we only monitor this mailbox this day, that day, but they don't want to be accessible. So me, I'll be accessible. Plus, I'm representing the community where I come from. I'm representing people who look like me and also who don't look like me, because as a politician, you have to be there for everyone. You can't just be there for a selected group. But I'm there for the people where I come from, there for the people who look like me, talk like me, come from the same similar experiences like me. And because of my experiences, I'll be able to create that change. And unfortunately, when you're in politics, it's a big pond and you're a little fish.
Mm.
And you've got to grow, but you've got to have that mindset. And I think a lot of the time our politicians conform and they just follow the crowd.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Me, I'm standing out of the crowd. Me, as a politician, I want to bring the people with me. The people who elected me, I'm supposed to bring them in. If there's a meeting that I can invite them to, if they don't come, that's on them, innit? But I've said, listen, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to be discussing, and we're trying to make change. How much committee meetings you could go to? You can even watch them online now because COVID. You can watch them online. Start to understand what's going on in your community, and really and truly, and this is something that happens a lot. People don't ask the right questions. So when you actually ask a question you think is educated, they can dodge the question. We'll get back. Ask the right questions to get the right answer. And if you don't get an answer, then that's what it is. That's what it is.
Mm.
So I just want to be accessible, open, supportive, but also create real change. Create real change. How do you create real change in your community? How do you do that? As an MP, I'll go for every grant, everything that I can get. If I can't get that government central funding, like now that we're living in the cost of living, things are tight. I'll look at other ways and means legally of getting more money to support my community.
Legally.
Because a lot of them are doing some shady stuff. Friends buying this, friends buying that.
Yeah.
How do you look at it? Me, even at work, I always go to the end. I always go further than what my remit or my job description is until someone says, you got to come back. And that was my problem in school as well. But I'll go as far as I can go until the rope allows me, until someone says, you're going a bit too far, mate. Bring it back in. And then I'll know this is how far I can go. But they're lazy. I'm not going to call certain politicians names, but they're lazy. And that's what it is.
Okay.
That's how I would stand out. And if you're voting for me, you know what you're voting for. You're voting for someone who's going to spend their summer in Jamaica. I'll let you know. I'm not going to be those ones and hide. No. You're voting for someone who's going to travel the world. But at the end of the day, you're voting for someone who believes in you, believes in your future, and believes in your destiny. And I think the way how you speak and the way how you convey yourself, you can bring your energy to the people. And you can bring your energy even through a TV screen. Because I'm sure when people are watching this, they're going to feel and hear my passion through it. They don't know me, or they might know me. They can't physically touch me. They can't physically talk to me. But they can feel my passion and they can hear how I speak. That speaks volumes. There's no point bringing empty promises,
Mm.
because what did they say? Promises are a comfort to a fool. There's no point promising. Action, and you demonstrate action before you become an MP, before you become a councillor. I've demonstrated action before I've even stepped into the political realm. So when I can look back, do you remember before I was your MP, I was on SMG talking? Do you remember? Here's the receipts.
Told him he was on SMG TV. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
Cheese
things
and
like
beef,
that.
proper cheese.
People wait to get a job or wait to get into the job to say that they're going to create change. You don't create change like that. You're not a change maker. You're a change maker when you're a change maker. You create change, and you don't even know how you're going to create change for yourself. But you know you want to make change.
Mm.
It's a track record. It's something that you live. It's something that you breathe. It's something that you speak. Creating change is not a 9 to 5. Like, even I'm talking to you, I'm still thinking, how can I create change? How can I create change? I'm going to watch this back and say, okay, Josh, pick up the nuggets that you were saying. How can you use this? How can you use this to create change? It's something that you live, breathe. You live and breathe. But no, they don't live and breathe it. They just talk it. But I do the talk, but I know I can do the walk.
Talk to us about Elevate and Excel.
So Elevate and Excel started in my bedroom, looking at how do you want to elevate yourself and excel. Because a lot of people say, oh, elevate. And I had Elevate before Popcorn done the song. I had Elevate and Excel before that. But that song just inspired me as well. But Elevate and Excel just started as a online thing of where I could provide information about different things, different psychological theories, different things that's going on in the community, speaking, uh, you know, doing like self-help videos. So before it was Elevate and Excel, it was JBS Youth. My name is Joshua Brown Smith. It was JBS Youth. JBS Youth got Young Entrepreneur of the Year. JBS Youth got Young Campaigner of the Year. JBS Youth got creating impact in the local community with COVID. You know, JBS Youth still there in the background, but it's Elevate and Excel now, stepping up into that corporate type of thing. So Elevate and Excel was there to create change and support young people. At the moment, Elevate and Excel does advocacy, and Elevate and Excel has many strands. So you have Elevate and Excel, and then you've got Education's Agony Uncle, which is me. So I took that from Bridgerton when he had Lady Whistledown, who was doing all them, who was letting out all the information about what was going on, all the pastor in the show. I took that. I said I want to be Education's Agony Uncle to let education people know what's going on. So like I help young people get apprenticeships. So right now I'm building a day. I built it. I just don't know how to publicize it yet, which I'm still trying to plan on. It has all the industries that offer apprenticeships, so that's from IT to banking to building, engineering, and they offer apprenticeships from A levels all the way up to degree. Putting that out free of charge to young people, saying that right now, I don't want you guys to be hard to reach. I don't want you guys to be classified by the government and by the local authority as hard to reach. You're only hard to reach if the information is like right here on the table and you don't want it. That's the only way you can be hard to reach. I don't believe anybody's hard to reach. The only way someone's hard to reach is if I'm trying to give you something and you're saying no, you don't want it. Then you're hard to reach because I'm trying to show you, but you don't want it, so you're hard to reach. So it's just there to provide support for young people, provide support for parents and families. And I've supported a lot of families. I've had mothers crying on my phone. I've had messages. I've been up late at night. I've been at 5 o'clock in the morning taking people's sons out of police stations. You know, I've been advocating. That's what it is there for, to help, to support, to make sure it's that arm, which I hate the term bridging the gap because a lot of people say they bridge the gap, but there's no bridge and there's still that everlasting gap. But basically, being the arm between the community and the arm between the system and trying to make that link, and a sense of that if a young person's, for example, arrested, rightfully or wrongfully, I've got that relationship. No matter what people might say, you have to have a relationship. I've got a relationship with police officers, with police stations. So I can walk in and find information because more time when parents are calling, what's going on with my son? Oh, we can't tell you. I'll make sure I get the information for you. At least if he's not coming out tonight, I can put your mind at rest and we're gonna create a plan to support. So that's what basically Elevated XO is, just to create support and be there in the community, be not a light at the end of the tunnel, but a light at the start to for young people just to walk through, just opening the gate, just saying, I've had to break this down, but now I know the route. Just come true. So that's basically what it is.
So you're gonna be more focused on youth and young people.
Youth for young people, families, anything that's around young people. Because you're a young person until you're 25. So
Well, I mean,
Huh?
I'm not gonna lie. That was crazy.
When
When I agreed, and then I was like, well, hold on.
yeah, you are.
I ain't old. I ain't even middle aged, bro.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
He
they can't.
just threw us
He
in
doesn't
some
react.
Yeah,
bro.
they're actually classy.
Yeah.
The
No,
government.
this is their
yo.
reaction.
Yeah, the government.
I didn't hear it properly. I heard it, but then I was like, wait.
Did he say 25?
Yes.
I said, I hope at 21, all right, cool, but for 25, bro.
Yeah,
No, what do you mean? You're young till you're 40, guys.
The government actually
saying?
class you as a young person. You can
Nah,
actually
play
access
games.
youth services
Play
until you're
games.
25.
No,
Oh,
yeah, you
wow.
can.
You can go youth
I
club
never
until you're
knew that.
25. So you're still
Now
young.
though, that wasn't back in the day.
Yeah, well, back in the day.
You could have gone
in
youth
the
club
day,
when you
no,
was
yeah,
25
you
back
could've
in the
gone
day.
youth club
What?
at 25.
Even when you was 21.
Don't think you're some.
18 was the cutoff, G. You could not go youth club past
Yeah,
18 back in the day. Like.
Yeah,
Imagine going Wookie Youth Club where you was
Yo,
like 20.
what?
That
Mad.
is wild.
That's weird.
is
like.
wild.
That would be
Yeah.
weird.
bro.
Because everyone in there is mad young.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, bro. Like, you're just
11
there
to
with your big ass-
friggin' 18.
yeah.
Man got a beard, like.
Nah.
Yeah, that's so.
The class. I don't know.
That man had their driver's license for 5 years and that, and their youth club. Like, nah.
I think it does work in some senses, but I think it's
don't
just a performative thing because like
I'm sorry, not to cut you, but
it's a
now let me
performative
ask
thing.
you a question because now we can ask the generational question, and so because you just mentioned something that was crazy, right? Now, when we grew up,
Yeah.
there was hella youth clubs. There was the council youth clubs. Then there was like the organization youth clubs, like Connections. I don't know if you even know what
Choose
Connections
connections,
was.
you know. Shout out Connections.
4YP didn't have a youth club, but they had services in certain offices, or you could go. 4YP was a sexual health service in London. I don't know if they were everywhere, but they were like a bus that used to go around that said 4YP on it.
They used to come
And
to
they
the
were-
colleges. And
yeah,
schools,
they
and
go
that.
to schools, colleges, or not schools, they go to colleges, or not schools, what we're talking about.
No, yeah, colleges. Sorry,
But
man.
yeah, so they would just dish out the DOMs and they'll do testing on the buses and then they'll show you videos of mad scary like STIs or back in the day it was called
Oh.
STDs.
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed it. But anyway. Yeah, so it was very different with all the youth clubs because not that there wasn't, because there was obviously a lot of ish going on. There was still gangs, there was still violence. But what we've always kind of remembered is you could identify who was the really, really road street them,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then who was just about, and then who was really not on that, you know what I'm saying? Now, where you have like 0 youth clubs, everyone's just out here, you know what I'm saying? Just the same, just like this, pretty much.
Yeah.
We obviously see that the violence and the gangs and that is so much more perpetuated, for lack of a better word. But it's just so much more affluent. You know what I mean? Like it's everywhere. And I always felt like maybe youth clubs is not the whole solution, but options for the youth to have something else to distract them or to pass their time. Because that's all they're looking for is a way to pass time. Youth are very bored these days. They don't really have much of an imagination. So what do you think about that, being that you're going to be focused more on the youth? What would you do to help positively reinforce a great distraction on these youths?
So have you guys heard of the term leveling the playing field, leveling the gap, closing the gap? They say these things, but the gap's not level. So like in Lucia, where I come from, we've got something called XLP. And they've got like a bus, but it's like a recording studio. They go around, they've got like a gaming, all of that. like when you're in South London, like Brixton, them type of areas, there's a lot there. Sometimes there's too much that you don't even know what's there. But what about when you're coming to these areas and these sides of, Woodgreen, the North Londons, the East Londons, the West Londons? Like you gotta make it level. You gotta make sure that there's enough services around for everyone to access. Because I know some people that are traveling way out to go to a service because there's none in their area, or sometimes there is services in their areas, but they don't know about it. So I think a lot of it is about, as I said, making sure it's as public as possible. It's there, it's online, it's when you're on TikTok, it comes up as an ad. You're on Instagram, it comes up as an ad. You're on Snap, it comes up as an ad. Like, it's just there in your face. So I think that's what it is. Make sure that information's there. But actually, that the youth clubs are actually offering something that the kids want to do. Like, the kids don't want to just do football all day, every day. Like, they don't want to just do art. You guys have got. I know youth clubs that have got recording studios, like proper recording studios that like Beanie Man and Capleton are going into, like cutting down plates. They don't have no staff that know how to use it, and the staff that was there that knows how to use it has gone. So that knowledge has just left with them. There's not knowledge that's transferred in the youth service. And I think also a second thing, a big thing, which I'm really against at the moment, is that a lot of our youth workers are not qualified. A lot of our youth workers are youth workers because they made a change and, they're doing this. Not, a lot of them aren't even qualified to a level 3, level 2 standard to understand the basic theories of youth work to make sure they know how to make that change. So that's another thing. So if you're a youth worker or you're listening to this, upskill yourself. They've got free qualifications out there for existing youth workers where you can get grants and all sorts to upskill yourself and get a degree or a qualification. But I think there needs to be a level playing field across it to make sure that young people actually have that service is there in the area. And there's things in there that they want to do. So right now, I just think like a youth club should just be a big space that can be turned into things, different things. Monday, John might want to learn how to do a podcast. And then Tuesday, he might want to be the next Digger D. He might want to be the next crypto coder. He might want to be the next bounty killer. Like, you gotta make sure that it's transferable. You gotta make sure that it's there for everybody, because unfortunately you can't have a building that caters to everyone. There's no money. It's not possible. But at least having a space that is multi-purpose and that's multifunctional, that one corner over there is doing that, one corner is doing this, and everybody has that access. I think that's important. Access is key. And partnerships as well. Like, if you know you're going bust, or you know that you can't do it by yourself, don't be afraid to ask for help. Why are you feeling shame? Ask for help. Merge, partner. Right now, we should have certain mergers with certain community organizations that from back in your day. They should be still around now.
Yeah, them man are gone, evaporated.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I think they were all government like extensions, so they just got lost funding or whatever it was. But the rise in teenage pregnancies, I guess it was.
Well. Oh my.
Full happy. I'm joking, but man. I mean, it's you've made some super valid points. On the state of politics, I guess now. The hope is that by the time you get into the space where you're actually running for some sort of office or going for some sort of office position or whatever, that there is less resistance and more room for change.
Yeah.
Hopefully, by that time we can get to a point like that.
Definitely, it's coming.
You know what I'm saying?
Vibes Cartel said the comet is coming. Coming.
So
Comet is coming.
I never knew.
Yeah.
Mad quoted vibes.
Comet is coming.
Well, Josh, we're gonna wrap up there.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, I want to thank you so much for coming down. You know what I'm saying? It was great to meet you.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best.
Nice to hear your
When
story,
you I don't know how many years it takes for you to get there. I don't know what the steps is, but when you're there, man's gonna vote for you. You get me? Just let us know. I don't vote in this country. I'm American, so I need to vote for Trump for November tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I need to vote for my boy Trump. You know what I'm saying? We need to get Kamala out of here, son. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that beat. I'm joking. But yeah, SMG podcast is done.
You're done now.